How you doing out there, first off? My name's David Israel. What I'm coming here to talk to you about is I was on the YouTube page and I see something that kind of disturbs me. And the reason it disturbs me is because it it starts off as a video of there's a young kid, he's a blood, and there's a young kid, he's a crip. So the young crip gets disrespected. A few days later, the blood allegedly he gets killed. You know what I'm saying, for disrespecting. But he gets killed by the cops. But that's how it supposedly started. But he got killed by the cops, right? Now he was a troubled kid. I mean, you can see it. And there's a few people in the comment section that made comments like, he had it coming to him good. I'm not saying he was an angel, and I feel, and my condolences go out to his family, because to lose a child, I don't know that experience, but over the past few years, I've lost quite a few people. Some of them were white, quote unquote, whatever that is. Some of them were one was Native American, one was Italian. These were roommates. One was a brother-in-law. He's Puerto Rican. And when I see this, people oohing and ahhing about, somebody getting murdered, getting killed. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how do you see that as a good thing? I see that as like a setback, because that's just showing how far we're getting in society. We ain't going anywhere. And then I see the racism and the prejudice, and I'm thinking to myself, like, you have individuals that's saying nigger this. One, I don't know if it's a chick in her avatar. She's supposed to be a female, I'm guessing. I don't know. It might be a catfish move, but niglet this, nigger that. Then there's another individual talking about you guys are apes and niggers, and I responded to every one of them, but not once did I put anybody down and call anybody's race out, because I don't know what their race is. Then there was a guy talking about, well, I'm Irish, and the Irish went through way more harsher treatment than African Americans did, and blah blah blah. And I'm looking like, really? So I researched it, and I called him on his BS, and it was BS according to the New York Times. And then it had further hyperlinks on the hyperlink that I left and provided for anybody who was watching us go back and forth. I left the hyperlink and put him in his place. He told me that I wasn't speaking on a college grad level. He said I'm not speaking with a college level IQ. But the way he said it, he can't even perform complete sentences. Grammar off, and he's talking about me, and he's supposed to have done 5 years in college, this, that, and the third. And I'm digressing off the subject. The subject I'm trying to get at is there is a lot of racism still in America. But what you guys fail to realize is, how do you know Americans, African Americans, the only ones that seem to get a tag? You have Irish Americans, you have Italian Americans, you have Russian Americans. If you're born here, you're American. You're American if you're white, but if you're black, you're African American. So I'm thinking to myself, how do you just automatically assume somebody's of African descent just because they're quote unquote black? Ask yourself that. Why is that? Back in the 70s, Afro-American. So everybody out there on this page that was, talking the craziness and the noise, I'm wondering, like, do you do your research and know what do you even have in you? So one individual, I let her have it because she just keeps coming with nigger this, nigger that. And you have a lot of people that got offended. And I'm like, I'm not going to let her offend me, because if I respond to her saying nigger, as far as like getting mad with the girl, then I'm letting her win, and she's sitting back laughing and kikiing safe on her computer. But this is something she wouldn't say in anybody's face. She wouldn't go to a McDonald's in the south side of Houston, 5th Ward, which I've been there before, and talk that noise and say nigger this, nigger that. She would get the brakes beat off of her. I promise you that. So it's like, if you're not going to say something in live person to somebody, an individual of another race, don't say it on YouTube and type it. First off, you never know who's watching you. It's so easy. First off, Google bought YouTube. There are certain catchphrases that you type in that they will actually home in on, and they will actually characterize you and send it to your local law enforcement agency, and then you're getting pulled over and harassed, and people in black showing up to your house because of things you looked up, of things you might have said, might even label you as a hate group. Same thing with the KKK. How is it, Crips and Bloods and a few other biker gangs are considered terrorist groups, right? But you have the KKK have been known to lynch people, known to kill people. Terrorist group, they don't get this label, but Crips and Bloods do, biker gangs do, and all other factions of the underworld element, underworld belly, I guess you want to say. That makes no sense. And I'm not just going to stand for it. I actually say stuff about it, I speak my voice. I make my opinion known. I don't hold back my tongue. People say, oh, Obama was black. And a part of me in my heart was like, yeah, we got a black president. But at the end of the day, he's black and he's white. He's mixed. And you have people saying, if somebody made a comment like, oh, but you had a black man pulling the trigger, dropping bombs and this and that. And was so angry. Same thing with, Trump and his girl in the White House. I go to one column it was an article about Trump and his wife. And you have people saying, oh, glad we got that ape in heels out the office. It was a woman that got fired for making that comment. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? And then some people like, glad there's some class back in the office. And I'm like, what is that supposed to mean? There's class back in the office? I mean, do you hear how vulgar Donald Trump's mouth is? Do you hear the phrases that come out of his mouth, our president? But he's not my president. See, I'm governed by higher standards. And I'm governed by somebody not of this realm, an individual. Not even an individual. I mean, there's so much power on who I worship. And I know it true because I fasted and I prayed. I did 2.5 years locked up for something I shouldn't have did. But in that time, I got to learn myself and who I am. And the reason I changed my name to David Israel is because I found myself and I asked the Father, because I changed my name and he sent me a sign through a vision. And that's why I changed my name. I really don't know the descent of my name. I don't know where it comes from. And, like I said, there's a lot of us out there, we don't even know our history. So I had this vision one time when I was locked up. I was fasting and praying. I was serious with it, man. I'm dead serious. I was serious. I was fasting. I was praying. That's something people don't know nothing about. That fasting is serious. It works better than voodoo. I never even did voodoo, so I shouldn't even compare it saying better, because I had never tried that. But I know for a fact, if you fast and pray, he will start to give you things you ask for. But it's not when you pray for somebody else. That's how prayer works. So pray that somebody prays for you to keep your life and preserve your life and keep it going. You know what I mean? But I digress again. But when I had this vision, it was of a pyramid. And it was like all these people on one side. They were about 70 feet away from me. They were walking on one side. And I was by myself on one side. And they were in bondage. They was in shackles. And it was in front of this huge pyramid. I mean, it was huge. And we were like in the desert. And they were blacks. Quote unquote. Whatever that is. And I didn't realize what that was until I was reading the comment section. I was reading people saying. And then, something came up. And as far as on YouTube, you got things that pop up, notifications. So there was an article about, there's a tutorial. I call them tutorials because you learn from them on YouTube. And then you could go research it. It was about Adolf Hitler saying that if only he was saying basically that blacks in America, and not just blacks, but Native Americans, people of Puerto Ricans, Dominicans in the Dominican Republics, Haitians, because they were part of this slave trade. And that's how, you have dark-skinned individuals down there, because being in the desert, you're going to get a darker complexion and your nostrils are going to be wider because you have to breathe in the air. And when you're in the mountains, you have a thinner nose because you can't take in as much air because it's cold and it will damage your insides. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor, but this is things I read up on and this is things I've been taught, and it makes logical sense. But the point I'm trying to get at is you have a lot of people down there that have these same characteristics and features, and basically we are the Israelites. We fit that description. If you go to Deuteronomy 28 verse 68, you will see that. It says, I will bring you back into Egypt, ways you have not known. What does that mean? First time they was enslaved was in Egypt. What do you have on the back of your dollar bill? A pyramid, right? Right? What kind of monuments do we have in Washington, D.C.? We have nothing but Egyptian monuments, right? Even talks about it in Revelations. Read up. Spiritually, it would be called Egypt, Sodom. So that makes me wonder. And it actually don't make me wonder. This came to me today. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 68 tied up with my vision, and I just understood what it was today. So thank you to all the individuals out there with the prejudice and the racism and the foolishness. But be warned. Everything you say and you do, you're going to be held accountable for it. Everything. We're cursed. We are cursed. When we realize who we are and start to wake up, I think it's going to be close about that time when our Savior is going to come back. The chosen. Now people can say what they want to say. But even Adolf Hitler said this in a movie. You've spoken about God's jewels being in America. The blacks. And I'm not just saying blacks, quote unquote, but like I said, people who fit into that category. And that's real. So with that being said, like, a lot of you out there who make your crazy racist prejudice statements, you really should do your research and fast and pray and really fall back on a few of your statements and recant what you're saying, because it will mess you up one day if you find out after all these years the treatment and everything you've done to people of black ethnicity here in America, who you really were dogging out and talking about. But some of you say you're Christians, some of you say you're believers. How are you a believer but you own foolishness? A lot of you don't even fast and pray. For real. I'm still in my foolishness sometimes. You see it by my videos. I'm not gonna lie. And some of them I just left them up. And I'm not even really on what some of my past videos were. I'm not even really in that mind state. But at the same time, I'm telling you, you fast and pray, He will reveal things to you, and He will reveal who you are. And it'll make you feel good. That's why nobody can call me a nigger and I don't get mad. You can call me a nigger, you call me a porch monkey. What's another thing I done been called? I've been called so many things in my lifetime, it's ridiculous. Even over in Germany. I'm a military kid. You know, my mother served for 30 years for this country and dealt with prejudice and racism. Same thing with me. I had a teacher that told me basically I couldn't know this word. And everybody know that this guy was prejudiced because he always would act funny towards black people. Basically, I think the word was epitome. That was actually the word. My friend on this particular job was it was an assignment we had to do, and it was about the war. So he made a clay structure of the Battle of Bunker Hill, and everybody loved it. We ended up getting like a A-, like a 93. And then we convinced him that we did know what the word epitome means, because we were in honors English. So then he bumps us up to a 96. But you have a girl who was Jewish that even said to us, she was of white complexion too, but she always got A's and stuff like that. She even said it, man, I only did like one page, and I know my paper and my, my whole assignment and my project wasn't nearly as good as you guys. Why did he give you guys that grade? I knew why. And like I said, I've been going through that my whole life. Could you imagine being a black man and somebody come up to you and ask you where to find some drugs? and you dressed up, you know, you decently dressed and stuff like that, but somebody comes up to you, asks you to find some drugs. What is that? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like, the mentality is just so off, and people are just so lost. It just doesn't even make any sense. But I'm gonna say this and say this because I'm not gonna be a man of too many words on this. Fast and pray and study, and you will find out, and your Creator will reveal things to you. You're being lied to. Look at the Clintons. How is it this woman keeps killing off all these people? And I'm going to say it what it is. Killing all these guys. One guy had a weight bench crush his neck. I mean, what was it? A barbell crushed his neck. The day before he's supposed to testify against her foundation. Another guy, he comes up messed up, gets shot and killed at his house, but he doesn't get robbed of his expensive watch. But it's, you know, written off as a robbery. Open your eyes and stop believing the foolishness, man. Get out the O'Reilly factor. Stop believing the foolishness. I'm out.